Hi, this is Todd, and welcome to the Thrive Singles Podcast. Whether you're single again or still single, stop hating being single and learn to thrive. Today's podcast is Sexual Purity, 3 Thoughts for Singles. This week I'm talking about a topic I think I so far subconsciously avoided. It's surprising that I haven't talked about it yet because it's a subject that it's very important to me and always on the minds of most single people. Sex. For a lot of people, it's a drive more powerful than hunger or fame or fortune. In fact, I suspect that a lot of people seek fame and fortune for the most part, just in hopes it'll get them more sex. I believe I avoided this topic largely because I feel like I never quite mastered sexual purity. My singleness ended up being a mixed bag. On one hand, I did stay sexually pure in the sense that I did remain chaste. I never had sex with anyone while I was single. Honestly, I know this seems absurd to many people in this modern, permissive, anti-Christian era of brave new morality. But in that area, I was able, through well-placed guardrails, to remain celibate through my second singleness. And I wish I could end my story there, but there is more to it. Though I was able to rein in my outward actions, my inner thoughts, my thought life is another story entirely. If I hold myself to Jesus' stricter standard, don't look at a woman lustfully, well, then I failed miserably. And even worse, and this is hard to admit, but I have to admit, I went through 2 periods where I regularly viewed pornography. Now, I can offer excuses like I have an extremely strong sex drive, or I desperately miss the sex I had before as a married man. And those statements are true, but the bottom line is I knew better, but I indulged in it anyway. Now, I didn't talk about this so far, as some kind of true confession or a memoir. I'm talking about this to let you know that we all face the same struggles. None of us are immune from that which is common to man. No matter how spiritual or well-adjusted we seem on the outside, inside we all have areas of strength and we all have areas of weakness. So all of that being said, what do I want you to learn from that story? Well, 3 things. First off, I was able to remain celibate, and so can you, but it doesn't happen by accident. In my case, it happened by design, because I knew it's an area of weakness for me. So I put guardrails in place to keep me safely on the road and keep me from falling off the edge of the cliff. Let me tell you about one good guardrail. Never, ever be alone with someone of the opposite sex, especially if you find them attractive and especially at your place or theirs. The safest thing is to assume that you're capable of messing up and be extra cautious. This is much better than assuming you can control yourself and giving yourself the opportunity to mess up. Now, this might seem impractical or a bit overboard to some of you, but it's a simple matter of, is remaining pure important to you or not? Is this something you want to ensure or just some pie in the sky ideal that you pay lip service to? Secondly, I was able to beat pornography. Now, understand, I come at this from a Christian perspective, right? So this might sound a little spooky and overly spiritual to some of you, but honestly, this is what got me away from porn. I realized that to engage in porn, I had to deliberately shut off my God consciousness. I had to purposely step away from God's presence, and that was in my eyes, that was too high a price to pay. Because porn, you see, porn's not ultimately fulfilling. Like so many earthly pleasures, it leaves you wanting more and more and more. On the other hand, the presence of God always brings with it a peace, a joy, and a fulfillment. You just can't find anything else. I could continue to shut out the thing that brought goodness into my life, but it was for something that just left me wanting. Fully embracing God's peace, joy, and fulfillment is a much better choice. Now, I mentioned guardrails earlier, and I love Andy Stanley. I love his teaching on guardrails. Another good way to beat porn, another good guardrail to have in place is accountability. Now, you can get apps to install on your phone, your tablet, or your electronic devices that will send a list of websites to a carefully chosen accountability partner. And that's a great guardrail to have in place. Thirdly, I do still, even now, despite being married to a wonderful woman, I have to constantly guard against lustful thoughts. And again, I could offer those excuses. I have a strong sex drive. Women all over the place wear yoga pants. But in the end, I'm the one responsible for my sexual purity. The best strategy I've found so far is just turn those thoughts over to God. I can't deny that a woman's attractive, and I can't deny that I notice. I'm a man. But I can, in that moment, acknowledge God's presence and bring him into the conversation. In doing that, my mental dialogue changes. It tends to veer more toward, thank you, Lord, for the beauty of your creation, and steer away from more lustful, sexually charged thoughts. Now, I realize what I'm saying is countercultural. Just the opposite is what's become mainstream thinking. Things like pornography, casual sex, those are now widely accepted as normal, and things like purity and celibacy are commonly dismissed. They're just antiquated and passé. But yet, there are many of us to whom these things matter. And there are more of us than you'd think if you judge solely by what you see portrayed in popular culture. So if you're single who desires to stay pure, be encouraged. You are outnumbered, but you are not alone. There are more of you out there. Also, be encouraged that it is possible to be a single person and to live a life of sexual purity. But it will take some effort. You'll have to get your mind right, and you need to put some guardrails in place. But it's worth it in the end. One day you're going to sit down with somebody you're seriously interested in, right? And you're going to tell each other your story. That's going to be a much easier conversation if you have been true to your beliefs in your single years. Now, even if you've messed up in some ways, as I did, you can still live in purity from this point on. It's never too late to begin. It's never too late to change your storyline. So embrace purity. Thrive on. Let me end with 2 questions. How important is purity to you? Is it something you're really striving for? Or is it just some ideal you kind of think is okay? And 2, are you successful at this point in being pure? And if you're not, what are you going to do to ensure that you stay pure from this point forward? Feel free to come over to the blog and talk about it in the comments section, or find us on Facebook and get in on the conversation. I hope you enjoyed this week's podcast. See you next week. Till then, be sure to subscribe and go check out my extensive archive of past posts at thrivesingles.com. And thrive on.
Whoa, thrive. Yeah, come alive. There's more to life. You gotta grow, you gotta thrive. Whoa, whoa, you gotta